So I have a little riddle for you, and I'm going to have you guess what's in my pocket. And at the end, I'm going to share a magic trick with you and also a tutorial that shows how you can make things switch using a condom. It's very addicting once you start. I go through probably a pack a day, maybe more if I'm at a party. I've been doing it most of my adult life and I can't stop. When I pull one out in public, all of a sudden everyone around me wants one. Every so often I'm shunned and treated differently because I do it. Sometimes I pull one out when I'm anxious or nervous. Some say I'm smoking fast and others say it's cool. I never started doing it because I thought girls thought it was cool, but it does seem to be a common reason people start it. Now that I have my own brand, people are always trying to bum one off of me. I don't drink, so this is what I do at parties. There's nothing worse than when they get wet. I think it looks really tacky when you see them in people's pockets. When I walk into a gas station, it's the first thing I see on the counter. To be honest, there's only a couple brands I like. Most are garbage and only a couple are very smooth. People get a kick out of it when I pull one out, spin it around on my fingers, throw it in the air and catch it in my mouth. It's definitely a social thing for me. It's something I don't do much when I'm alone. Well, I hope you figured it out. It was indeed a pack of cards. Now I'm going to show you how to make this. This is such a great little gimmick. You can have one object turn into another object in a flash, and it uses a condom. It's insanely easy to make. Check it out. To get an image, a picture, denominations of money, or maybe even a deck of cards or a playing card to switch from one to the other, all you have to have is the original source or image or card, a duplicate of that, and one indifferent image that's the same exact size. So in this case, what I have is a pack of cigarettes. On top is a flap that is comprised of one face of a deck of cards and another half of image of the smokes. This flap right here is separated completely and it's hinged by a thin piece of condom or rubber. You can use a balloon, you can use a piece of dental dam, anything that you can find. A condom is very thin and the thinner the better. Let me show you why. If you try to do this with something as thick as rubber band, a rubber band is so thick that when you make the hinge, look at how thick that garbage is. Yeah, it still works, but it won't fool anyone because of how thick that jump is. So thin rubber is the way to go. So let me show you up close exactly how to construct this. Use your imagination. You can do it with pictures, you can do it with playing cards, you can do it with any flat surface as long as it's not too thick. I'm going to turn a king into a jack. So I'm going to need a second king that matches. So a 2 king of clubs. And this jack of diamonds is going to be on top. It's going to become this, so I only need one of these. The fold is going to require a half of this other king. One half will just be discarded. You won't need it. Your base image will not be cut. That'll be the surface you build on. The other two will be cut in half. Once you have your 4 pieces, put them back to back and make sure that they're very close to the same. Now before we get into the final construction of how the latex is used, here's your base item. Essentially on top, what's going to happen is you're going to have 2 halves come together to appear to be an image on top. That will be glued to the top. But only one half is actually glued. So let's just say it's this half. It's going to be glued down with a piece of rubber coming out. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Don't do it yet. Next to that will be this flapping door. This door will be comprised of 2 halves as well. The other half of your final image, and on the back, the corresponding half that if flipped over will match the face of the original image. So you can see that if this door flips, you have one image and then over here you have another image. Well, between these 2 pieces right inside, there's going to be a piece of rubber that gets pulled out and goes into that pocket between these 2 cards, and that's the rubber that becomes the hinge. And how it works is very simple. Let me show you. You're going to need a non-lubricated condom. There can't be anything on it or it just won't work. Now, did you ever notice that there were serial numbers at the bottom of a condom? No? Oh, I guess you never roll them out that far. That's all right. Cut off the 2 ends of the condom and get rid of the tapered part. Then you're going to take a pair of scissors or a blade and you're going to cut right up the center of the condom very, very carefully. And what you have is this perfect square of material. And this is going to let you to create 3 or 4 of these gimmicks. If your condom has a lot of powder on it, it's nice to wipe a lot of that off. You want to have just a nice clean piece of latex. And there you go. That's all you need, and this should be able to give you plenty of material for your gimmicks. The amount of rubber needed to attach this piece to the door that's going to flap is very flexible. You're going to need a piece that stays a ½ inch away from all edges. It's going to go from here all the way out to here. So the piece is about 2 inches by 2 inches. Lay down your piece of rubber centered on the original image. It's going to be glued down along one of the sides. Glue it firmly there and let it dry. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use some double stick tape, just to make this really fast. On top of this piece goes the final image, just half of it. You're going to glue around the edges and affix this on top. You are not going to glue on top of the middle of the rubber. You want to keep that free so it can stretch. So this piece will go on top. And this is somewhat crudely done, but it'll be good enough for demonstration purposes. This whole entire thing will take you about 20 minutes. And you will need to affix the edges. It's very important that it's held down. So now you have a piece of rubber coming out between two different images. But look at how thin that is. Take the back side of the corresponding original image and put it underneath the rubber. This is going to be the first half of your door. That's going to be sandwiched with the final image's other half. This right here is your flap. Now to get this to function, you're going to have to put a little tension in the rubber. So here's the only tricky part. You're going to take this piece of rubber, you're going to add a little bit of glue or epoxy or whatever you're using, and very, very carefully, once the other side is dry, you're going to pull the rubber about 1/4 inch, not very far, about 1/4 inch until it's nice and taut, and you're going to hold it down with some tape and let it dry. Once that's dry, you attach the other half of the face image and it'll just work. Now I'm just using double stick tape just to get this to function. Of course, you're going to want to do this a lot prettier and use some sort of super glue or epoxy, but this will give you a really good idea of how this thing functions. So there's enough of the rubber in the middle that's not been glued or touched, so there'll be plenty enough for stretchiness. I'm going to attach this other piece on top. That's close enough. So here we are with the King of Clubs that changes to a Jack of Diamonds. And if you get really close, you can see it looks pretty darn good. Now if I reveal really close to the camera, you can see how unbelievably good that still looks, even though we're a card layer off. Let me open it up, and you can see that there's the base layer, and then there's those 3 layers of half cards with the rubber in between as a hinge. And that is, oh, there it goes. That's the gimmick. So you can use your imagination, use it for anything whatsoever. That was crudely done. This was put together in only a minute with just double stick tape. You want to glue it and you want to make your edges perfect, and you want to make sure you stretch that rubber in the middle and let it dry before you attach it. Hope you have fun with this. It's an absolute blast. You can use it as a trick, a prank, as magic, however you want. So before we go, I just wanted to show you that this flap on my dollar bill is identical to, it wants to close on me, identical to this flap we just made. It flops over, and so does this. Same exact construction, just turned sideways. So use your imagination, have fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Share this with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, and thank you guys so much for the support. I'll catch you guys next time.